Hey guys, welcome to the Solution Architect channel. Excuse my scruff, I'm busy growing my beard again. And my hair is very long, I couldn't go to the barber yet. I don't think anybody can, unless you can just cut everything off. Okay, so let's jump into the video. Today's video is JavaScript in HTML. So let's go through the theory first. So what is JavaScript? JavaScript is a language to manipulate the elements on the web pages. JavaScript runs client side. What that means is, in my own words, is I say it's browser side. It's where the user actually sits and browse the internet. And that is where the JavaScript actually runs, and it's not on the server side. So just remember that it's always on the client side. JavaScript is defined by using the script tag, and you can actually use JavaScript inline on the page. You can create a script block, or you can create an external file and you can reference that file and then use that script within your web page. The other thing that I'm going to go into a little bit more detail is functions, and functions is just a block of code. So let me go into function. What is a function? It contains a block of code, like I said, to manipulate elements on the web page. For example, you can manipulate anything on the web page. You saw that in the previous examples, where you can click on a button and it can change the name, or it can change the color, or it can change anything really inside any tag within your web page. A function gets invoked by something in somewhere inside your web page that calls it. And that invoke is just say, I'm calling this function, and it will then carry out the instructions within that function. You can also pass parameters and return a value. So, for example, you can see here the function is the function name, which is your name, and you can call it anything that you want. And you can have different types of parameters. Now, a parameter is just, it's a value that you pass. You can pass a 1 or a 2, or you can pass a specific text value, and you want to do something with that value. In this example, we're just taking parameter 1 and parameter 2, and we add it together, and we have a total sum. So we just add it, and then we return that sum. And then you can display that value within your web page. So that is what a function is. You can go into much more detail, but in general, this is what a function do for you in JavaScript. Just some basic examples. The first one is inline. So on a button, we do a JavaScript, which is the document.getElementById. Now I'll show you an example. I will go into the code and show you an example on how this looks. If you have never worked with functions or JavaScript, I'm going to get to that in the code for you. This is just, the first one is a button, and you execute the function for inner HTML. You set the value of inner HTML for that specific element ID. You set it to Bailey, and we'll go into that and I'll show you. You can also have JavaScript inside a script area, a script block, and you can put that anywhere within your web pages. And this is doing exactly the same thing. It's just doing it inside a script block. Now in a function, now this is a very simple function where I show you call this function, you don't pass any parameters, and you just execute something, and you change elements within your web page. You change, for example, the name of the element that needs to be displayed. Inner HTML is the display value to Bailey. And the next one is setting the color, the style of that specific element. Okay, so open up your Visual Studio Code and then go to the last exercise we've done in the previous lesson. This is how far we got. And I'm just going to manipulate some of the things inside here. So I'm just going to go to my image container in here, in the span. I'm just going to add just a paragraph, and I'm going to give it an ID. Because if you want to call something from a JavaScript, you need to reference the ID. So I'm just going to call it, and this can be anything. You can call this whatever you like. So you just need to remember what that ID is. And I'm going to put nothing inside here. Normally we could just put the text in here. Now, when you refer to inner HTML, this is what you're referring to, that piece of that within that specific ID. Okay, now let's go change this button. So we want to say, for example, if you click on this button, let's change the element of that inner HTML. So go to this document dot get element by ID, and then every time you put something within a double quote, you put in single quotes, otherwise your page won't work. You have to have single quotes within a double quote. So meaning that this is where your quotes start, this is where it ends. Everything inside needs to use single quotes if you are putting something in a quote inside there. So I'm going to change my ID dot inner HTML. So you then equals to let's call it Bailey. So and what okay, so this is just on the button, just a quick example of executing some JavaScript. And we'll move this into a script block right now. Let's just go and view it. And it's displaying on the wrong side. Okay, let's just bring this over. So what is my puppy's name? If I click on here, there it pops up the name, and it actually changes that. That was the JavaScript. This is how you manipulate some of the code. So let's go into the next example. Okay, so now let's go to the top just below the body there. Let's go enter a script right here and close, make it open. And we're going to write a small function. We call it function, and we call it just simple show puppy name, and open brackets, close brackets, and you always have curly brackets open and close when you start and finish a function, so it knows when to start and when to finish. So let's add a document. Let's just copy this part of it. And then I'm just going to copy it until there. Dot style dot color equals red. Okay, and it's okay. So now this is not going to work on its own. So we need to call this within this button here that we click. So just highlight that, copy this, and wherever this is within your button, just say simple show puppy name, close and open and close brackets, and let's run this. Reveal in File Explorer, double click, okay, just bring this over here, click, and you see it changed the style as well as display the name. Now let's do a little bit more funky stuff inside our function. Okay, so let's go and add a parameter in here. So inside here we just call puppy. You can have any parameter. You can name it whatever you want. And I'm going to start a variable, puppy name. That's just to indicate the end of this row. I don't think JavaScript really mind about it, but this is just a natural thing come to me. I'm just going to leave it empty. If puppy equals, if you have a single equal, it won't work. It will try and set the value then. A single equals set the value. A double one is actually asking the question, is this two related if you use the if statement? So if this is true, so puppy equals to 1 that you're passing through, then carry out some instructions. And let's say the puppy name then is equals to Bailey. Then I'm going to just copy this red over here, copy red. Okay, so you can either just start another if, or you can have something they call an else if. So you can go and say, okay, else if. So if it's not 1, then test for another test for another value. It's equals to. Now this is really just a simple example. We could have made it very complex, and I didn't want to do that. I'm just going to delete that. Copy this in here, and let's make this blue. I just like to close it normally, and we're going to copy this over, and my second puppy's name is Gray. So then nothing is going to happen unless it's just going to change the colors, but it's not going to change the names unless I return the name. So if I want to do that, I can just say return puppy name, and that will return the value. That's now a function that's passing a parameter, and then will return either if it's 1, Bailey, if it's 2, Gray. Now we have to be a little bit, the reason why we do this, now you'll see that a function can be reused, and this is what I want to show you, is reusability within your code. Now I'm going to leave this button where it is, and I'm just going to pass, because this is on the left side, and it's showing the one, I know it showed 2 puppies, but I'm just going to, for example, pass through a 1 and have my ID, and I'm going to move my ID to somewhere else. So I can reuse my ID as well for different purposes. So I can set the value of my ID with JavaScript depending on what I want to show on the screen. So I'm just going to move that. I'm just going to show it on the header, and I'm going to copy this button over to the right side. And I'll leave the code. If you look at the description below, I'll leave a link to the code. And this is 2. Okay, so if I didn't make any mistake, and sometimes make mistakes, everybody does. Okay, so the change that we need to make here is we want to change. I know we're passing there 1 that's not going to work. I just want to quickly show you what needs to happen in here. We need to change the document type. So the document dot get element by ID, and it's my ID, and dot inner HTML equals to, and this is supposed to be sorry guys, I need to do it differently. So document dot 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 dot, okay, and I'm passing through 1 and returning through. So the value that's returned here will be displayed on the screen. So I just need to copy and paste this over to the other one. and this is supposed to be 2. There's different ways of doing this, but let's check this out. Let's run the code quickly. File Explorer, run. It shows Bailey. Click on this side. It shows gray, and it changes the font color as well. So that is, in a nutshell, that is your JavaScript, guys. I know this video took a little bit longer, but JavaScript is really important. And also remember, you can have multiple functions in here. The other video that I will bring out is now reference JavaScript from an external file. And I'll show you how to do that in our next video. Thanks for watching, guys, and please subscribe, and thank you very much for those that already subscribed. And let me know in the description below if there's certain things you want me to work on. I'm also working on Linux examples. It takes a little bit longer due to a lot of work-related stuff that keeps me away from my hobby, which is this. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.